You want to feel accepted and loved, and that is the belonging, right? For children, it's called the attention bucket. And then significance, you want to know that your existence matters. Like when you ask the question, what is my purpose in this life? They will meet these needs any way they can. So they can be screaming, they can be clingy, they will do anything that gets the attention, and you might scream like, what is wrong with you? The fact is that when you scream, you filled up the bucket. Either way, I'm still going to talk more on alternatives to spanking, but this is just an example of helping your child meet the expectation as opposed to making your child do that. So that's the first mindset. The second mindset is that when you were treating, I know at least all of us potty train. I'm just mentioning other parts like academic, speech delay. I experienced that, picky eating, I experienced that, and gentle sleep training as well. But potty training, for example, how was it for you guys? It needed patience. So in the sense that you can't start potty training today and expect that by next week that your child is self-initiating, going to the potty when he needs to pee, telling you, Mom, I need to pee, and has no accident. And in that same way, everything you're teaching your child takes time. You can't rush a developing brain. You have to actually be patient with your child when teaching. If you want to teach them how to handle emotions, or if you have to teach them how to get positive attention, all that you have to be patient with. Now, the last mindset. So in the same way, you also have to understand, like you can't potty train an 8-month-old, a 6-month-old, or a 3-month-old. You have to be able to meet the expectations, let the expectation meet your child's developmental stage. Okay, so child opening drawers, that was the first example I put there. So if you have a child, let's say a 6 or 7-month-old, constantly pulling drawers, opening drawers, and it's just triggering you like, what is wrong with you? The fact is that your child at 6-7 months, I told you is at 4, they get impulse control, has no self-control, and is just curious. So how do you help this child meet the expectation? Baby-proof your house. I was guilty of it. I was guilty of always shouting, leave there, stop that. And I was just stressing myself out when I easily could have baby-proofed my house, knowing fully well that developmentally, my child would be curious to know what's going on in there. So you baby-proof your house to help them meet that expectation. For older kids is when you can now communicate, you can decide you want to give a logical consequence and whatnot. But for younger kids, just baby-proof the house, or you can still baby-proof for older kids. It doesn't stop you. Now, splashing bath water, for example, if you have a kid that is like 18 months or 2 years old, always splashing the water hard, how do you help them meet the expectation? You know that they're curious. Maybe they're wondering why water splashes. You could go to them, okay, baby, I know you want to splash the water, but you splash like this. And then you show them the gentle way of splashing, and then when they don't meet the expectation, you can give a consequence. But it's all about teaching them and trying to help them meet the expectation. So now let's talk about some emotional scenarios. So a child throwing things, but things don't go his way, or a child that hits his mother when he's frustrated, a disrespectful child because his mother said no. If you can, type in the chat, what would be your goal in these situations? So for the child throwing things, and in all the situations, the most important thing, okay, we do have things coming in chat. Beat him or her. Yeah, let the child know that hitting is wrong. Yes, we'll spank with 2 fingers. All right. Okay. I hear you guys. Okay. And I've been there and I've done that. Been there, done that. So I hear you. So the thing is, all these emotional scenarios, if you take a look at it, if a child is throwing things because things don't go their way, the issue is that your child is angry. Now, if a child hits his mother because he's frustrated, the issue is that he's frustrated. A disrespectful child because his mother said no, the issue is that he's angry. Now, in the second and the third scenarios are things that you have to address their behavior in and after the moment. For the first situation, it's not a case of danger. You only have to take your child. If I'm going to tell you how I would handle the situation using positive discipline, is your child we talked about the brain. When your child is angry, frustrated, showing any emotions, they go straight into emotional reactivity. And that is the downstairs brain, the most developed part. And they are not thinking. They're literally like a walking mad person. So anything you're doing now is like, even if you try to even educate them at this point, they're not thinking. So for example, a child throwing things. The goal is, I need to teach my child anger management. That is the problem right now. My child doesn't know how to control his anger, right? So if I'm going to talk to my child throwing things, I would first, during the downstairs brain phase, take him away to somewhere safe where person and property can't be hurt. And then we teach coping skills. That's like a whole other thing, but I teach my son deep breaths, jumping jacks when you feel angry. And in calm moments, we teach him that as well. So we still also address throwing things. And how I address throwing things is, okay, we have to keep our things safe, okay? When you're upset, remember, we have to keep our things safe. You can apply logical consequences, natural consequences. I'm still going to talk more about that later, but this is if you don't address the anger and you just spank them for throwing things, which is something I'm going to talk about again. The fact is that next time they're angry, they won't throw things, but they'll throw themselves on the floor. Next time they're angry, you spank them for throwing themselves on the floor, or you leave them and then you teach them this is how you regulate. When you're angry, you can throw yourself on the floor. You know, children are actually trying to learn. They really don't know anything. So now for the child that hits his mother when he's frustrated, in that moment, if my child, and Suyi has had that phase where he would hit me while he's angry, of course, it's in his downstairs brain, but immediately if I'm carrying him, I put him down and I state, you can't hit mommy. I understand you're upset and that's okay, but we can't hit mommy. We have to keep mommy safe, right? And then you might have some children that are more strong-willed, that have a calmer child and might want to charge at you. You put them behind a baby gate and they might be fighting, and if you don't have a baby gate, hold their hands. I understand you're upset, but you can't hit mommy. You have to be firm, but you'll be loving. You can't hit mommy. We have to keep mommy safe. Let the tantrum end, discuss the behavior, and discuss how to behave when you're frustrated. For my son, when he's frustrated, I teach him to say, because he goes into a tantrum when he's frustrated. I don't know how many kids do that. And usually maybe he's trying to put on his shoes and he's not getting it right. It's just his personality. And then I tell him, when you're frustrated, you can say, mommy, I need help. So I can come to encourage him. I don't rescue him from the situation. And then when he's there, I tell him, okay, when you're frustrated, you say, I can do it. When you're frustrated, you say, I can do it. And gradually I'm seeing him sometime on his own. When he's struggling, he would say it to himself. I feel frustrated, but I can do it. So I'm teaching him how to manage frustration, not just for now, but when he also becomes a grown man. So now with the disrespectful child, the child is angry because mommy says no. So anger and sadness has to be addressed. What do you do when you're angry, when you're sad? When you're sad, you can say, mommy, I need a hug. You know, you can research ways that you help handle these emotions. And now, but in the moment when your child is being disrespectful, it's very important. There are 3 ways you can handle things. You can either be passive, aggressive, or assertive. And for the sake of your child, depending on whatever the temperament they have, it's best to be assertive. Now, what do I mean? When you're passive, it means I respect you, but I don't respect myself. So that would look like your child is respecting you and you're saying, oh, don't talk to mommy like that. That's not nice. That is passive. You can't be passive. Strong-willed kids will crush you. They thrive on vulnerability. You cannot be passive with a strong-willed kid. For a sensitive kid, a calmer kid, you're teaching them that's how to behave when they're being disrespected. And that's not okay. You're not teaching them how to stand up for themselves. Now, to be aggressive means your child is being disrespectful and you're like, don't talk at me like that. What's wrong with you? Come, get out of here. You spank them or whatever. That is aggression. Your strong-willed kid would butt heads with you, especially when they get old enough to do that, till somebody buries themselves in the floor, somebody is crying or somebody is hurt. And that doesn't solve anything. You're only just going to teach your strong-willed child that this is how we do things, because a strong-willed child naturally believes I'm to be respected. I don't care about you. So when you do this with a strong-willed child, they just learn that this is how things go. No problem. I'm either going to be the one that wins or, I died losing, that kind of thing. With a sensitive child, they just pick up on the fact that, okay, so I can't disrespect anyone, but yes, she's disrespecting me. So this is how it goes. It's okay for me to be disrespected. They will always go in that line. So being passive or aggressive does not pay your kids. Now, being assertive, what does this look like? You have to be calm and you're going to be like, I hear you. I see that you're upset. I will be respected and I will be respectful. This is something, an affirmation I say with my son every morning. I will be respectful and I will be respected. So this goes to show that you also have to be respectful with your kids. So it's okay that you're upset, but you might not mean to come across this way, but you do sound disrespectful. And I will be respected and I will be respectful as well. When you're calm, we can have this discussion later. And this will be for a much older kid, right? That has been taught calming techniques that can go. So if your child hasn't been taught how to keep themselves calm or how to regulate, you really have to work on that before even asking them to step away, because when they step away, they don't even know what to do, So, or maybe when you can just say, okay, go calm for a bit. And when they're calm, you have to address how they behave when they're angry, teach them how to manage their anger, frustration, or whatever, then still talk about the disrespect. But being aggressive with a strong will, or like I've explained before, doesn't work. Imagine two different kids. One was spanked or punished for the unwanted behavior, and one was emotion coached, right? How to handle their anger. So which child is more likely to throw a toy when not in the presence of mommy? Who do you think? The one that was emotion coached, or the one that was told, okay, you can't throw things, so I'm going to hit you? Child one. That's right, because he's been taught how to manage his anger. So this is his discipline in or out of, with or without mommy, just because he's been told you have to keep your things safe. I mean, with my son, when he was throwing things, I really did like natural consequences where he loses or breaks the thing or tears the thing or whatever happens, because when it's the thing he loves, I'm empathetic, but I'm like, that's what happens. When you throw things, you can lose them. You can tear. Or he threw his banana on the floor. He was still eating and he was hungry and we were out. There was nowhere else to get food. We had to throw it in the trash together. And he had to throw. I'm like, once it's dirty, we have to throw it in the trash. And he was so sad, and we still talk about it every day. And we always go back on events that happen. We make them stories as a learning opportunity that, okay, this happens when you act this way. This is a consequence of your action. So we have to be careful. And right now, dramatically, we've seen like an improvement. Right now, he has moments he will tell me, Mommy, I feel like throwing this because I'm upset. And I'm like, okay, do you want to breathe with mommy? Let's keep it safe. And then we take deep breaths. That is, it takes a while, but this is where you get to. A child that knows, okay, I know I can't throw this, but I know I'm feeling angry right now. I need to take deep breath with you, mommy. Question 2, which child is likely to have a different behavior like throwing themselves on the floor? I already mentioned that. So child 1 never learned to control his anger. Question 3, which child will grow up to be an adult with better anger management? And of course, child 2 who has learned coping skills. So deep breaths, getting calm toys, stepping away when angry. Even for my son, there was a time he was whiny and, trying to get my attention. And this is just something I tried. And I went to him and I'm like, Suyi, when you need mommy's attention, no whining, okay? Say, Mommy, I need your attention. And kids are funny. My son now comes to me, Mommy, I need your attention. And, we kind of already removed that behavior. And I would tell him, if I can't give him the attention right now, I use when and then. Okay, when mommy is done with her work or when mommy is done with this, then we do this. And to help him, sometimes I'll set a timer on my phone.